Hello there, we're back at the four-way intersection. We're going to explore the old roadbed with this collapsed bridge and the levee. That'll complete kind of the four-way intersection area that was all new to me until about a month ago. Well, let's get started. So we're only about a quarter to a half mile down the old roadbed so far. Definitely a one-lane road. I'd say it's maybe 8 to 10 feet wide. It's a pretty narrow road. What's interesting is the way that they graded the land. I've got kind of like drainage on both sides of this roadbed, and then steep banks about 20 feet from the roadbed that rise maybe 8 to 10 feet tall. Let me show you an example over here. Well, here from the roadbed we could see the bridge on the Katy Trail that was in my video, I guess a couple of videos ago. So we're almost to the end already. I doubt this is going to be much longer than a half to 3/4 of a mile in length. My assumption is going to be that this road just went down to the railroad tracks for train access, possibly farmers, or maybe there was a small station there. I did notice going over the bridge though that the stream is frozen. This is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. This last week we've had very cold temperatures. A couple of days our high didn't even make it up to freezing. So I'm surprised though, because today it's sunny in the mid-50s and we had a similar day yesterday. So I recognized the area as we were coming to the end of this roadbed. If you remember a couple of videos ago when I was first out in this area and I found that cleared mowed area off the Katy Trail and explored that four ways, and then turned around when I realized we were kind of in a residential type environment or right on the edge of one, and we were right here at the start of that and the Katy Trail. Let me step aside. You'll recognize this. And in the other direction we had the Katy Trail, and off in the distance behind that you can see the levee. That's where we're going to explore next. Kind of hope for a little bit more out of that than I got out of this one though. Well, the Katy Trail is fairly busy today, which makes sense. It's mid-50s, sunny, a slight breeze. It's a gorgeous day out here. And this is the day before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And I'm ready to explore this levee. I haven't walked a levee since I was a teenager. It's kind of nice to know they're still around. We've made it just around this first bend in the levee, and as you can see behind me we have quite a straight stretch ahead of us. This is more like it. In the distance you can see the far riverbanks for the Missouri River. What I'm going to do is set up a pan shot. I know it's a little jerky, but just to give you an idea of how it looks, we'll start with the bluffs on our side of the river along the Katy Trail, pan across this levee to the distance. Here's another shot of that stream. You can see it's icy on top. This is the same stream that runs alongside the trail on the Lost Valley Trail. This is one of the most obvious game trails I've ever seen. It's hard to imagine that deer use it based on the brush that they're going through, but I can't imagine what other animal would create a trail this defined. It goes straight across the levee. Well, originally I planned to walk the levee to the river, but the levee doesn't appear to go to the river. It kind of curves around this big cornfield that I've got behind me, which, by the way, would be a great place for duck hunting if they flooded it, which may be what those buildings are for. I really have no idea. But a farmer's truck just went down a dirt road in the middle of that field, and it's kind of headed my way. I think it's time to go ahead and call this video done. There's something about this section of Weldon Spring that's just a little too busy for me. Well, let's head back to the car. Well, as much fun as this has been, I really didn't get the adventure that I was hoping for out of it. So I'm trying to rack my brain, think about where else in this little area I can explore. I've got 3 hours till dark, which is plenty of time to, get in trouble, find a little adventure somewhere. I'll let you know. Look at this tiny little bird's nest. Looks like it would be about the size for a hummingbird. Okay, I'm just not ready to go home yet. So what I did was drove a couple of miles up the road to the Hamburg Trail, one of the access points for the Hamburg Trail. And if you remember a couple of months ago, I tried to find the Mattis, the Schneider, and Murdock cemeteries all in one trip. And I found the Mattis and Schneider cemeteries, but not the Murdock one. And I wanted to come back when it was winter. It's close enough. Most of the leaves are off the trees now. I'm going to make one more attempt at that Murdock cemetery. What I need to do is somewhere within a mile from where I parked, I'm going to find an area that's got a large clump of pine or cedar trees about a quarter mile off of the Hamburg Trail. And in the middle of that clump is the Murdock Cemetery. It's been maybe 10 years since I've been there, but I have been there a couple of times. So wish me luck. All right, I'm really just grasping at straws right now. I can't find any of the old landmarks that give me an idea of which direction to go off this Hamburg Trail. So what I'm going to do is, I'm at the top of the hill before it starts to slope down on its way towards the Lost Valley area. I know it was at the top of the hill. I'm going to bushwhack until I hit the ridgeline, dropping down to the valley, and then follow that ridgeline all the way back to the car and hope I run into it that way. Once again, wish me luck. Well, at the top of this ridgeline, I've come across a field just in the middle of the woods. It's kind of interesting. We'll have to at least walk to the end of that and see what we could find. I'm still looking for that large clump of pines or cedars. I really can't remember which it was, but about 10 years ago it really stood out. It was so much taller than all the vegetation around it. I haven't found that yet. Okay, so I'm at the end of another field, which is right off the Hamburg Trail, and maybe 1/10 of a mile so far from the trail. And it's really difficult to tell. I'm sure you probably can't even tell on camera, but in the distance, it looks like there may be a clump of pines. It's going to be some tough going, but I'm going to try. I'm determined to find this one. Okay, all I can say is I really hope this is the right way to get there, because this is definitely the roughest bushwhacking I have ever done. I'm pretty much on my hands and knees through most of this stuff, and I'm bleeding all over the place. It's still a good time. Okay, we made it. And the trees are cedar trees, and they are no longer the tallest trees in the area, not by a long shot. It was definitely type 2 fun getting here. I mean, I don't know if you can see where I've been gouged by thorns all over the place, just cut up everywhere. But it's worth it. We're gonna take a damn good look around, because I doubt I'll be back again. Okay, so we came into the cemetery from the side. This is the front. There's actually an opening in the fence here, but definitely no trail. I'm kind of surprised it's as cleared as it is within this fenced-in area for the cemetery, because outside of it, there's been no maintenance at all. So somebody must have done something in the last 5 or 8 years, maybe. Okay, so let's take a look at a few of the headstones. And there's a large clump of trees, the cedar trees behind this big tree, behind the sign. And then all along the sides on the fence line are cedars too. I'm only noticing a few markers. The rest may have fallen over. Hopefully they weren't vandalized. This one is so old, there's no way I can read anything on it though. Here we have the footstone for this gravestone. Oh, this one I might be able to make out. It's 18. Ooh, that is tough. 1880, 1807. 1807 to 1880. I expect all of these are going to be from the 1800s. The sun's going down. This place definitely has kind of a Blair Witch vibe about it. Well, surprisingly, those are the only two markers I could find. It's really quite a large area. I'm surprised. I'll see if I could get some more information on this cemetery and put that in the description below. Okay, we made it out of the brush. We're almost to the Hamburg Trail. Kind of where those cedars are in the background. And then we're almost to the car after that, maybe a mile to go. Now that was an adventure. So, just in case you're crazy enough to try this one for yourself, look for the 2-mile marker on the Hamburg Trail. Just before that is a field. Let me show you that field. Okay, so this is the field that I was at last summer when I attempted to find the cemetery. I just could not find that clump of cedars and got discouraged with the bushwhacking. This time I was determined I was going to find it, and it seemed so familiar. I'll pan across this field one more time so you get a look at it. And there's east on the Hamburg Trail. So at this point, directly in the middle of the picture, you can see a little recessed area in the brush and the trees. Just cross the field, head for that, and stay on the high ground. You'll notice we're kind of walking a ridge line, and you could go down it a little bit on either side. About a quarter mile once you get in that brush, and then you'll find some cedars. They're really hard to see until you get right up on top of them. But when you start to notice taller cedar trees, you know you're close. You kind of get glimpses along the way, just enough to tease you and motivate you to keep going. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this video up here. Once again, I want to say happy Thanksgiving and thanks for watching.